Hi, this is Matt from Rapid Creek Cidery. We're going to talk a little bit today about what to do with some of the vegetables that you have exploding in your garden about this time of year, or maybe from your CSA or your neighbor's garden. When you freeze vegetables, if they're raw, and that's a good way to keep them for a long time, freezing them doesn't stop the enzymes from breaking them down, unless they are blanched or cooked in some way. So I always take a lot of vegetables from my fridge that are on the way out. If I've just gotten pounds and pounds of broccoli, or this is Gailon, which is a Chinese broccoli from our local farmer. If it's going bad, or if it's getting old and you're not going to use it this weekend, blanch it. I'm going to show you how to do that. Get it iced down, freeze it, and you can bag it up and pull it out of your freezer for the next 6 months, and it'll be great. So one thing we talk about when we talk about blanching vegetables in professional kitchens is how much salt goes in the water. I'm sure you've seen people talk about this before, but consistently people undersalt the water when you're blanching vegetables. I grew up on the East Coast, and we always talked about it tasting like seawater. It really should be undrinkably salty. So what I do is I do about 1/2 to 3/4 cup of salt per gallon of water. So you're going to want to get a big pot, and you're going to want to do at least a gallon of water for any amount of vegetables, even if you have just a handful, and I'll explain why later. Do about 1/2 cup of salt. Again, it's going to be tough to oversalt this water. I use Morton salt. So there are different brands. A lot of restaurants use Diamond Crystal. I've just grown up in restaurants using Morton. They are very different in terms of volume. So check which one you're using. I use Morton. If you do Morton, I would do 1/2 cup of salt per gallon of water. So you want to get the water in there. You want to get the salt in there, get it up to rolling boil. Have an ice bath ready, because you're going to want to cool it down really, really quickly. And then I'm just going to go in right with the vegetables. Again, the Gailon. To me, this is probably a little more than I'd want to do for this amount of water. In a restaurant kitchen, I'd have 4 to 5 gallons of water, and we would do handfuls of it over and over. The idea is you want the water to come back to boil as fast as possible, so you're not lowering the temperature. We're going to fudge that a little bit today. Right away, you'll notice it's going to start turning green, really bright green. The way I see vegetables, and this is a method I use for hard vegetables, broccoli is a great one to talk about, asparagus, cauliflower, but I find the thickest one, after about a minute, nothing's going to take less than a minute probably, maybe a snap pea, and I find the thickest one, and I'm going to start looking at the bottom of the stem, and you'll see the whiteness of the stem will kind of go away. It'll start to fade from white in the very center to green. That's a little bit of an obscure way to figure out if it's done. The best way is just to have a bite of it. So we'll do that here in a minute. While that's going for a minute, I just want to tell you there are great books about vegetables. I have hundreds and hundreds of cookbooks at home, and I brought a handful in today. They're old ones, like Green on Greens is one that I think I used at one of the first restaurants I ever worked in, and it still holds up. But there are ones like Josh McFadden does a whole beautiful book on vegetables with some really innovative ways to do it. David Tanis, he does a lot of market vegetable things. There's really no going wrong with any of these writers and chefs if you're interested in finding some interesting recipes. So here we are, this water's back up to boil. Just from instinct, I know that's going to be just about how long we need. Maybe you can't see this, but it's starting to get a little bit, the green's starting to fade into the white. So I'm going to pull these out and go right into the ice water. Really quick, submerge in ice water. Generally they say to put it in the ice water for as long as you had it in the boiling water. People sometimes dip it in there and pull it right out, and the center of the stalk is still going to be woody. I mean, it's still going to be warm, so it's going to keep on cooking a little bit. Once you get them blanched, the great things you can do with them, you can use these once you do the blanching and the icing. You're going to want to dry it off. It's a great way to kind of have something ready for the grill. Like I use a lot of broccoli on the grill. It's quick. You get a hot grill, you put it on there. You don't have to worry about is it done or is it not done, because it's kind of already done. And this way you can just go visit your friends for 5 minutes, come back, and you know it's ready to eat. It's just a really nice way to get them all green, make sure they stay green. And then once you get them out of here, you can have a strainer and lay them out to dry, and then you're going to lay them. If you wanted to freeze them, you'd get a half sheet pan, and you would lay them on the half sheet pan and throw them in the oven, in the freezer straight. And then when they're all frozen solid, I go into a Ziploc bag and get all the air out of them, and that can stay in your freezer all winter. Again, it works with any hard vegetable. Things like eggplant, I don't think work so well because they do tend to soak up the water a lot. But asparagus, squash, broccoli, snap peas, even Brussels sprouts really work really well. So that's a good way to do it. Make sure your water's really salty. Make sure that you're using the right kind of salt. Make sure you ice them down quickly, and they'll last forever and you won't have vegetables dying in your fridge. Anyway, that's a good lesson in blanching vegetables. It's gonna be a good summer for a lot of vegetables. They're popping up really hard right now. This is Matt at Rapid Creek Cidery, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.